Okay, so today's project we got going on is I need to take this and make it fit into this. So this chassis here, it's actually for a Model A that you got your drill set at the right speed and half decently sharp drill bit. You send the bigger bit through, but I guess I should move this so I don't drill pilot hole here. Half decently sharp drill bit, which is kind of weird for me. Yeah, that's oh, 2 sharp drill bits in a roll. I'm on a freaking roll today.
The holes drilled and tapped out to
tight, see, and when it hits there, tack that so your drill won't wander at all and you'll be able to drill that out. Okay, so we got the motor roughly set up in here. Got motor and trans sitting up in the chassis here, and the first thing I want to do is make the trans mount. So how I've come to where this motor is going to sit in here is a couple different measurements. Here, first one, you want to make sure you got enough room for your water pump coming out here to where your rod's going to sit. And you also want to put a spacer in your fan or go with electric fan, whatever you choose. So that's one of the measurements here, what you're going to do. If you notice, this has a short GM water pump on it. The one I actually am going to be putting on this is long, so it's actually 1.5 inches longer here. So I have all kinds of room here. Next thing, to make mounting easier, and I happen to luck out actually, is when you put this motor mount, I'm actually hitting here between these 2 holes. So making the mounts are going to be a whole lot easier than having to make gussets and everything for that. So that's the other thing, you know, to take a look at everything. So I've laid that out. Now, the other thing, you want to make sure where your body's going to sit with your firewall that you're not going to be into anything. So you're not going to be too far back, too far ahead. So you grab your tape, which are always easy to find in a shop, and you tape measure it. So for me, center of your rear end is going to sit right in about here. So you go here, add about 1.5 inches to your measurement. As we all know, I got a couple Model A bodies, so I've measured to the firewall already. So you pull out, the measurement to the firewall is 77, but I got to move in about 1.5 inches here. So going to be about 78.5 to 79. So if you look here at 79, I can still get at my bolts if I have to remove a transmission when the body and everything's on. So it makes life easier later on if you happen to have to take a transmission out. So now once you're done that, if you look here, there's your trans mount. So now here's the trans mount bracket. So what you do is you put this on here, and you're going to want that set at about 5 degrees. And then you figure out where your piece 1.5 inch pipe's going. And it's going right about here is where you're going to go. So what I do is I do my trans mount first, center that up, then you can sit this down. So now you've got a center point, you got a stationary point, so stuff's not moving around all over on you. Then you can set up your front and center it all up. And it pretty much, once you do that, it'll fall right into place. Because right now, I know I'm over the one side. already. And it's, you know, you can probably see it there. This here's your center. To your center of your harmonic balancer. The other thing you want is you want these engines on 5 degrees. On a downward slope of 5 degrees. And that reason why, if you look here at your oil pan, your oil pan's pretty much flat. And you've also noticed here, I have put a piece of bar underneath the chassis, which goes underneath your trans oil pan. So now you're not hanging down. So you're not going to rip that pan out. And that, hopefully not going to rip that pan out. If you rip that pan out, you got bigger problems than that because you've smashed a whole lot of stuff. There. So right there is what you want to do. And that keeps everything up high. And then once you get the front, you'll have pan clearance. So if you look at this one over here, that motor's mounted, and that was mounted 5 degrees on the frame table. There, and if you notice, your carburetor now is flat. And that's got the long water pump on it. So let's get to making the trans bracket. Okay, we're going to start with making the tranny mount brackets here. So what we're going to do is, on these things I always put bolt-in, I always put a bolt-in trans mount in it. So if you ever have to, later on in life, if you ever have to remove a transmission, you don't have to pull the whole motor out of the front of this thing and pull the rad and everything else. You'll be able to drop the tranny out the bottom. And it just makes life easier. It's just, you know, putting a little forethought into stuff. You know, it's not a perfect world where everything's gonna freaking work all the time. So make it so you can service these things, especially when you're out on the road. If you're planning on driving these, you know, you may not be in the comfort of your garage, and people forget that. And you know, you might be doing this in the middle of nowhere, which you know, if you are, make it so you can pull a tranny out without having to pull the whole freaking car apart. And it always makes your life easier. It makes it a hell of a lot easier. So I've marked here where this is where the back of the cross member sits, right here. So what I have here is 2x4 1/4 inch here. And what I'm going to do is I'll drill these, and then I'll mount these in on both sides where they need to go. Here, bolt in 3/8 bolts, and then I'll measure my bar to go across here, instead of having to do the mathematical freaking calculations and all the other cool fun shit. Make your life easy. So I'll do that, tap these holes into the chassis. This is 3/16 steel, so you can just tap into that. It'll never go anywhere. And then you can cut that piece of bar there, which will eventually end up being your trans mount, and that to match up here. And what you'll end up doing. So start with that, and then you find your center point, and then stuff up there lines up one heck of a lot easier than having to fight the whole thing, like I said earlier. Now let's get to doing some measurements and drilling. Okay, so what we're gonna do here, we're gonna start by finding the middle on this piece. So 4 inches to, that's basic math for you folks. Basic math. Don't ask me to do complicated math, because I'll be freaking lost. Then just take your square, mark that center point. Usually at this point what I'll do too, a lot of times, so both brackets end up being the same, just line them up like that. 2 of them, put them like this. Just like that there. And then mark your center point. There you go. Just like that. And they'll both be the same. Mark your center point on this one. There we go. So now when you do this, I bring everything off your center point. Here, so you're not coming from this side and this side. To just come off your center point makes life so much easier. So you're on with 3 inches, so set your set at 1.5, mark this end, mark the other end at 3, and there you go. There we go. And then, like I said, I do the same thing here again because you got your center point marked. That's way you know these brackets are going to end up being the same. You don't have things looking all funky and weird when you get done. Mark it. Mark it. There we go. Now here all you got to do is find center point of 2 inches. Like I said, basic math here, folks. Basic math. Good thing I paid attention in math class somewhat while I wasn't playing euchre down in the cafeteria. Maybe that's what taught me my math skills, the euchre in the cafeteria. Had to have been, because I spent more time there than I actually spent in in class learning. And by no means, kids, am I saying skip off school. Stay in school. And there we go. They're both laid out. I can take more to the drill press or whatever. Center punch them. Take more to the drill press. If you don't have a drill press, you can use a hand drill to drill these things out. You know, whatever works for you. Yeah, so we're just going to drill a pilot hole in these. Always drill like pilot hole and then drill them out bigger. That way you're sure you're hitting dead nuts on. All nice. Nice curly cues. And you got your drill set at the right speed and a half decently sharp drill bit. Now we're going to open this thing up 3/8 of an inch. And yeah, that's the size we want. But from the 3/8, I'll mark on the chassis there the 3/8 with transfer punches. I'll show you how to do that. And then I'll open this up to 1/2 inch. So you got some adjustment so you can move things around if you have to be. We're not building Rolexes, we're just building hot rods here, so there's times where you want to make so you got a little bit of movement and you're not fighting with stuff when you're trying to hold the transmission up with your leg and your hand and trying to put a bolt in with your mouth and everything else. So yeah, it just makes your life a lot easier. Wow, 2 sharp drill bits in a row. I'm on a freaking roll today. And here we go, 2 mounting brackets. Holes drilled in it. Like I said, those are 3/8. I'll drill them out to 1/2 inch after I mark everything and get the holes drilled and tapped out to 3/8. Okay, so I found the center point right there of where we're going with our mounting brackets. So right here, I got the center marked there. What you're gonna do is you're gonna take this, put it just like this. But what I'm gonna do is take a piece of steel, go underneath here, clamp it onto here, and then you can set that on it and you make sure you're completely level on the bottom because they're both 2 inch. And then you'll mark your holes here with transfer punches, which these anyone fabricating anything should have a set of these. These things here, where it can make your life so easy to find the centers of holes. And yeah, so you end up drilling nice and center. These things are freaking great. Anyone doing fabrication work needs to get these. They make your life so much easier than using the old magic marker trick and then trying to find the center of the hole, and then you miss, and then you gotta weld it up or re-drill it or whatever. So yeah, invest in a set of those. I think they're about $20 for a set. I know you Americans have Harbor Freight. Here in Canada we got Princess Auto. You don't need the high-end ones, just enough to mark the hole. And like you'll hear me say a few times, those things are handier in a pocket on a shirt. So invest in some. Okay, so these transfer punches, just grab the one that fits in the hole here, nice and tight. See, and when it hits there, it's gonna show you your center point. And what you do there. So you got the right one. Put it in just like that. Your hammer. There you go. That's centered now. Do the same thing here. And then that'll be the center. So now you can get a bigger punch, a sharper punch there, and smack that so your drill won't wander at all, and you'll be able to drill that out and tap that hole. Drill bit isn't as sharp as what I thought it was. And I suck at sharpening drill bits. Sharpen drill bit. Holes are drilled, just got to get those tapped out to 3/8. Even roughly look half-ass straight. Damn. Try to do this without snapping a tap. There we go. Yeah, how to make a 3-minute job take fucking 3 hours. Snap a tap off. There we go. Okay, so I got both sides drilled. Now you're just gonna bolt these plates on. So when I bolt these plates on, I actually put washers in behind them to space them out a little bit, so it's not a oh, it is a tight fit. Once everything's painted and everything, you got to remember you're going to be putting paint on this, so you want to space these things out some, or when you get this thing painted, you're going to scrape the hell out of all your paint and everything. So just space, like I said, just take a 3/8 washer, put it in behind there on both sides, then that spaces it out. Because it's back to, like I said earlier, you're not building a Rolex. And, you know, tolerances are important. But, so is being able to put this thing together. And like I said earlier, when you're trying to put a tranny cross member in with a tranny and everything else, heck, it's hard enough to do. So don't make your life freaking difficult. There, like I said, after I get all this all mocked up and everything, then I'll drill these holes out bigger in here. So you have movement in there. And it just makes everything easier to line up later on in life, because you got to remember you're doing this laying on your back. So there, do that on both sides. Okay, now these are bolted on. Like I said, see that space there? When you get your paint and everything, you're not going to scrape your paint all up. And so now, to cut this to length, because this is on an angle, I usually just make a little line here at your 1.5 inches here. The other thing I do, so if you look at this seam, we got a seam up on top here. I always put my seams to the top, so when you get this all done, your body hides that. In other words, have it on the bottom, paint it, it looks all pretty, and you got a big seam sitting there. So I try, if you look here, see how this seam here, it's on the outside of the front. You'll never see this once your body drops down over this. So I try to keep my seams to the top if I can. And then that hides them all. Then that, it's a little thing. It's a little thing, nothing, you know, nothing of structural reason or anything like that. I just do it for looks. And then I just take my marker under like this. Under like this. And when you flip this over, there you go. So that also gives you, it gives you your angle that you need. So your angle will be on, especially when you're TIG welding. You want your tolerance, not just TIG welding, anything. You want all your tolerances fairly tight when you're doing it, so you don't have great big gaps to fill and gorilla welds, and it looks like hell when it's done. There, so yeah, just set that up, and I'll cut that off in the cutoff saw, and then be able to weld that together. There we go, she's all clamped up. And ready to be tacked together here. So like I said, you can see the space. I went and punched the holes out 1/2 inch already. Lined the centers up. But yeah, that's all ready to be tacked together. Okay, so I got this, I got the trans mount all tacked together here. You see, I just put a couple tacks on it, there and there. The reason why it's just tacked, because I guarantee you will hang the most beautiful welds you've ever hung. In fact, I got a string here hanging off my sweatshirt. You'll hang the most beautiful welds you've ever hung in your life, and then you'll end up having to cut it apart to make it fit. So just, right now, just tack everything together. We're gonna get everything lined up. And then we'll weld it all up in the end. The hardest thing is setting everything up. Welding only takes, heck, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. It's the lining everything up, centering everything up. That's the most important part here. So like I said, just tack everything for right now. No need to lay those beautiful welds. It'll be the best weld you ever hung that you're gonna cut out. So just tack it all together. Okay, so I got this fancy tranny mount here, which needs to be mounted right under here. See, right under there, just like that. So at a 5-degree angle. So this mount's flat, and that just will not hold anything. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to measure 1.5 inches over, straight line it, and then I don't have a brake that'll break this thick of metal. So what I end up doing is I'll slit it with a wide cutoff disc, and then you can bend it. And I only split it, say 3/4 of the way, and then you put it in your vise. Just grab it with a pair of with an adjustable wrench, and then you can bend it on whatever angle you want. Here, I'm roughly, I believe I'm usually, I'll probably be able to 45 on this one. And then that'll give you all your strength. Okay, like I said, see here, I just slit this. It's about halfway through. You can go a little bit more if you want. And then you bend that over. Like I said, I used a wide cutoff disc, so I have this much room I can pull this thing over. If you use a thin one, you can't pull them over to 45 or whatever. It starts binding up and you have to go through it more. Now you just take an adjustable, and hopefully this works. And just bend it over. Like I said, you see it's closed up that gap. Then you just run a nice weld down through there. And just take your gauge here, set that at 0. Make sure both your angles are the same. We've got 30.1, 29.9. Yep, 30. Not going to worry about a 0.1. Well, there we go. Now, just get in here and you can weld these all in here. Solder that up and you flip it over. It looks like you got a nice break done to it. You can't even tell that you did it that way. So that's, if you don't have a press, there's ways around things. There you go, just like that. There we go, she's all welded up. Looks, there you go, from the bottom side, looks all nice. Rope. Nice weld there, that isn't going anywhere. Now you'll be able to mount that to your cross member. Okay, so now you set this on your cross member. Here, if you look, it's at 0 right now, which is 90. I set it up to 0. What you need to do is put this on the same angle as what your engine is. Now your engine's at 45 degrees sloped. And so you don't want to put this straight, because if you put it straight, if you look here, you're on an angle, it's going to cock everything up and want it to go back straight, which you don't want. So what you do is you set this, you tip it back, just like that, to where you get it. But if you see here, you got a gap. So just grind your top corners just a little bit, and then you'll have a nice flush mount here, which will make it nice to weld, and you're not filling up great big gaps and everything. If you look here, it's just a little bit you need to shave off there, you know, probably about a 1/16, and that'll put that pretty well bang nuts on. Okay, here we go, trans mount. Done. You can see this is kicked up. Perfect. So it'll line up nice with the motor angle. It's already there. Like I've said before, just tack. Notice this is all just tacked together. And that because like I said, I guarantee you'll hang the most beautiful welds ever, and you'll be cutting them off. That's pretty much a guarantee. So just tack everything till everything is in, and then final weld it at the end. And make everything look all pretty. Trans mount's installed. Right there. Angle's all nice. Angle's nice on the block. Okay, so some of the fun of building the hot rod is when you got to change stuff up. And sometimes you change stuff up as you go on the fly here. I was just centering up the front of this engine. And as you can see here, we got a fuel pump hitting. So, ways to fix that. Well, I'm not notching the frame. So, more or less, this car is going to get an electric fuel pump. And that's going to fix that whole issue right there. I still have to come over that way roughly about 1/4 of an inch to center up the bell housing here into the center of the engine. So, or not the bell housing, sorry, the harmonic balancer. So the bolt into the center here. So that fuel pump will be being removed, and it'll be an electric fuel pump being run on this, which is no big deal. No big deal. Here, I said, there's the trans mount. You can see it's got the angle. It's got the proper angle, the engine's on and everything. So it's just a matter of centering up the front of this engine. And then we started to make mounts that are going to go there. But first things first, I gotta remove that fuel pump. And then we'll be able to center this up and carry on. Hopefully I can get this out of here. Heat tight. Perfect. One fuel pump to add to the parts collection. Never know when you'll need one. Okay, got the fuel pump off. Got the angle set. 4.4. Got the motor centered up in here. You see the motor mount, she's a tight fit. I put the rubber bushings in there and then tighten those all up. And then make the mounts to fit that. So everything is in here. Looks to be right. You got room for your rad, fan, pulleys. Right here, like I said, your firewall's coming right in about this area right here. So you'll still be able to get to all your bolts for your transmission. Room for your distributor, which don't forget about that. A lot of guys do it. Then you got to start knocking in your firewall and everything. So room for your distributor there. And that, like I said, there's your trans mount angled at your 5 degrees. Trans. There we go. So here's all ready to put your rubber bushings in there and then fab up some mounts there. We can weld to the frame. Like I said, the fuel pump's just not going to, mechanical fuel pump's just not going to fit in there. It's going to hit on the frame rail right there, which is no big deal. And that, to be honest, I like electric fuel pumps better. The other thing here that you need to watch for, right in there, that's where your steering box mounts. Right there. So you got room for your steering box in here. And that's all. And then you're going to be bringing the steer shaft up in underneath here. Now, these are all things that you sort of, as you're going along here, that you have to watch for. And I've done this a couple times, so kind of know the stuff to watch for. So that's why I said just tack everything in for right now, and then final weld it all at the end. Because yeah, I can't say it enough. Your most beautiful welds are going to be the ones you got to cut out because you got a little bit too cocky. So save yourself that hassle, and yeah, just tack. Put good tacks on it that stuff isn't going to fall and break while you're setting stuff up, and yeah, get everything looking good and making sure everything will fit. And don't do the old, oh yeah, it should fit, hopefully. Because you'll get near the end and find out, nope, that didn't fit, and you'll be cutting and changing stuff. So yeah, just during mock-up procedure, it's one of those, you want to get it done as quick as possible, make it look like a car. Take your time, because in the long run, it'll save you from cutting a whole bunch of stuff out afterwards. So yeah, we're making progress here. So just gonna pull those mounts, get the rubber bushings in there, and then be able to make some tabs to weld to the inner frame here, and then we'll have a motor mounted in this thing. Okay, here we go. We got the rubber bushings here. They are installed. So she's a tight fit. But now it's just make some templates here for those tabs, and get those tacked in. So what I found somewhere. Okay, so what I found here for the tabs. These are actually the pieces that I cut out of here. Out of there is where those got cut out of. So I'm going to use these for the tabs here because they got the nice round. It's all been laser cut out. So actually, don't throw scraps away like this, because this is going to end up. These here actually, this is the template for doing an LS set of mounts here, but. There you go. You can just go like that. There you go. You got the nice round. Cut it and find out where your hole goes. Simple, simple. Some of the best cardboard actually I've found from doing templates is actually from beer cases. So beer, soda cases, whatever you want, but they it's some of the best cardboard I've actually found for doing templates. So, and the nice thing is it's free because most people have have beer or soda cases in their shop. I guess this is called recycling. So look at me looking after the environment all good like. There we go. Just like arts and crafts in school. So, and then we'll hold it up and we'll find where we're putting some holes. Okay, so just take this piece here that I cut out, a little template. Just hold it inside here where you roughly want it. Now, if you get a Sharpie, are great for marking the holes when it's a 1/2 inch. They're just like a transfer punch for finding the center of your hole. They go in there all nice and have a no fly. There you go. There's where you need a hole. Right there. So now, this here's another little tool here that is freaking handy. So this here is great for finding hole centers, and especially when you need bushings. The problem is I'm so freaking blind I can barely see. So you just lay this out like this. There's your 1/2 inch hole. Mark your center. Center lines. Mark your hole. Do it on your lines. And this here will give you the center. Where this becomes handy is this here is the size of your bushing. So you can see if everything's going to fit. So by doing that, now you can see if everything's going to fit. See if your bushing fits and everything. There you go. Just like that. So everything's going to fit, everything's going to move, and now you can drill that hole at center. Okay, so I got the motor mounts all, we got them all cut out and fabbed up and tacked in here. Right there. Your driver's side. There's your passenger side. There. So the motor's all tacked in. It's all tacked in. Ready to be welded and everything. So I'll just leave those tacked in now in case anything has to be moved and start mocking up the rest of it. So next we'll end up doing, we're going to put the rad in. We'll put the steering box in here. Make sure that all is going to fit nice. And then moving to the back, we'll end up doing the 4-link here. The mounts are already in the chassis for the 4-link. I don't know if I'm going triangulated yet or parallel. Haven't decided. And be a 4 9-inch, so get that ordered up and keep carrying on here. Yeah, so that's where we're at right now. So you know, stay tuned for the rest of it and what's going on. And yeah, we'll hopefully have a body and all that for it soon. Have to get it brought over, and then we'll be making hairpins. Here, these are my mock-up hairpins, and I've got to make, so we'll go through making up a set of those. So yeah, we'll just keep plugging away here with this thing, and yeah, it'll be a fun little project. So make sure you like, share, follow, and keep up with everything going on here. And heck, we'll have a Model A that we'll be building and making cool. So and a bunch of other cool ass projects. Like I said before, we still have that one there. It's sitting there. This one here, it's actually going out to a customer with an LS in it. And I still have a couple bodies, and there could be some LSs going in some clamshell station wagons. So stay tuned. Everyone have a great day.